Little intro music today, courtesy of Nick in the Daytime. Oh, a little premature exodus from the intro music. Welcome in, everybody. We got a stacked show for you today on a beautiful day in Jacksonville and in Northeast Florida. How about that? Helene has come and gone, and we might have been here. I might have been here since 9:15 last night. Nick in the Daytime, Mr. T. Might have been here since midnight, 1, 2 in the morning. But we got college football to talk about. And that's all we need to do. Nick, how are we feeling in there? I haven't even checked in on you today so far.
We're sluggish, a little sluggish here.
Okay.
You said 9 o'clock yesterday. I took a nap, woke up at about 6:30. I never slept after that. It's a long day.
That's playing with fire right there.
Long day.
Playing with fire. Hey, we got a stacked show for you today. Perhaps the best slate of the season so far. And, man, a lot of head coaches, they might be at the college realm, but they are professionals that stick in their foot in their mouths. We're going to talk about that. Obviously, we got BAMA and Georgia, college game day going and headed to Tuscaloosa. That'll be on the back half of our show today. And a big one in the bounce house, Colorado visiting the Knights. But I think one of the stories of this week was, man, I don't know. I mean, I feel like these head coaches, how often they have these press conferences. They have 3-4 of them. It seems like a week. And how many of them have just put up bulletin board material to other teams in the past? And, I mean, they can't seem to help themselves. You're going to hear from Deion Sanders when we get into the Colorado UCF game in the back half, and his were all right. But you got Hugh Freeze, you got Brent Venables, you got Lane Kiffin, you got Brett Bielema, all making comments. Very questionable. We'll start with Freeze. I mean, they lose a football game last week against Arkansas by 10 points, and pretty much after the game just sells out his whole offense, no problem. Just going to throw the quarterback right under the bus and say multiple times, post-game press conference, he said it on a radio station a couple of days ago, that, yeah, if we play Arkansas 10 times, we beat them 9 out of 10 times. Like, saying that multiple times. Like, that, I guess people think that that's going to, like, help your case. But as the head football coach, first of all, doesn't that make it worse that you were the guy who allowed the 1 out of 10? If you're saying your program and your players are good enough to beat another program, doesn't matter really who it is, 9 out of 10 times, well, you just found a way to make it the 1 out of 10. And just throws his guys right under the bus. And, Auburn's got a tough one against Oklahoma, and we're going to preview that one here in a minute this week. But, I mean, it's hard. Auburn can't have any confidence going into that football game because of those comments. And then we got Lane Kiffin kind of responding to that in an indirect way. He was asked about it. And then in true Lane Kiffin fashion, kind of goes on this 90-second, 3-minute rant or something like that of how good a relationship he has with all the quarterbacks that he's ever coached. I mean, the guy, the confidence, you want to call it confidence? No problem. You want to call it ego? That's up to you. But just goes on a nice little trip of how he treats his quarterbacks and how he was Matt Corral's best friend when he threw 6 picks a couple years ago, and how he took full responsibility and all these things, and he would never throw his guys under the bus. All right. Thanks, Lane. As if we needed more from you right now. I guess it's not really giving any kind of bulletin board material in any way, but just, typical Lane right there. And then we got Brett Bielema, Illinois. Now, are we going to talk a lot about Illinois, Penn State? Nope, we are not. But y'all know Penn State, that when they do their wideouts, that's a big deal up there. And Brett Bielema, that's Illinois' head football coach. By the way, they're ranked 19 in the nation, Penn State 9. That's not a bad matchup this Saturday, but Brett Bielema pretty much says, yeah, they're doing that whole wideout thing. I don't think it's going to do nothing, but, bro, we've all seen the scenes. We've all seen what that stadium looks like when when it's a wideout, and just go ahead and give. I mean, and they're playing in their first hostile environment of the year too. Illinois is just throwing more. What's the saying, Nick? Come on, help me out here. More fuel to the flame.
Fuel to the fire.
Fuel to the fire. Wow, been here since 9:15, no problem. Brent Venables probably takes the cake tonight. Did you see his comments, Nick? All right. So if you didn't see him, so obviously Oklahoma loses to Tennessee last week by 10 points. Probably wasn't even that close. 10-point game. They kind of made it close in the end. But bad quarterback play by Oklahoma, and they end up benching Jackson Arnold in the second quarter and never giving him another shot. And that kind of led to, as you can imagine, some questions about the quarterback. Brent Venables thought he had his guy, and that doesn't seem to be the case, at least thus far in the season. Asked about it post-game, and then I believe it was Tuesday, came out unprompted, wasn't asked about it, and just decided to talk on the Dillon Gabriel situation. And pretty much just explained why Dillon Gabriel wasn't there. Because there has been at least a little bit undertones of a narrative that Venables pushed Dillon Gabriel away. Okay, obviously Dillon Gabriel has an unbelievable season last year and then goes to Oregon and plays with Dan Lanning and Eugene. That's kind of, it's not that much of a story. It's not like he's ever had to address this before, but there have been rumors about it. And Venables, out of nowhere, unprompted, kind of gets right into it. Nick, here are the comments. Actually, I just exited out of them. I wanted to. Here we go. But here we go. Pretty much said, you can't make a guy stay. He said, this guy, quote, this guy is trying to find the next thing, the next chapter for him. I'm sure there was probably some disappointment that he wasn't more highly thought of in the NFL. He had an amazing year. He was a fantastic quarterback, but we didn't run anybody off or anything like that. Later said, here's the big one. I didn't know at the time that he wasn't going to the NFL. I didn't even know I had to fight this fight. Nick, you didn't know you had to fight this fight. Doesn't that make it worse? Hop in here.
Yeah, in the modern landscape, it does make it worse because it's a fight you're going to always have to fight now.
Yeah, I mean, just the fact that, how do you not know that you have to fight this fight nowadays?
Yeah.
Like, this is 2024. You have to recruit your own players.
Oh, yeah, especially NIL and portal now.
Right.
I mean, we saw it last year. The last 2 seasons, there was a guy at Tennessee. He's now in Miami. He threatened to transfer the year before last after 22, stayed for 23, and then finally transferred. You've got to, as much as you're recruiting new guys to get on the roster, you got to recruit the guys you already have. Otherwise, they're going to go.
100%.
And that's going to be an issue for Florida, depending on what happens with Napier and Lagway.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and it's not shocking it happened with Gabriel. I thought the move was weird when he went to Oregon, but, I mean, in hindsight, I mean, what did Lanning offer him? And, I mean, how sweet was the pot?
Right.
So,
but it's just one of those things where it's like, it shows a total lack of awareness on Venables' part to not have any sense, or at least saying he didn't have any sense that this was even a possibility. He kind of said at the end that, we kind of shook hands and that was it. Like, I just, figured he was coming back. I'm not sure I'm buying that because I do really think that they were high on this Jackson Arnold kid. Well, I call him a kid. He's my age probably. But it's just one of those things where you're not doing yourselves any favors with your own fans to come out and say something like that, because I don't think many people are buying it. And, I don't think many people are happy, right? I mean, you got to give them time. And I think Oklahoma is not one of those fan bases to really overreact. But the losing to Tennessee is one thing. Here's my point here. That was one thing. Oklahoma fans are fine if you lose to Tennessee in your first SEC football game ever, as long as it's close. The bigger deal is that Jackson Arnold was benched.
Yeah.
And all offseason, they were told that this was going to be the guy. Let's break down that Tennessee-Oklahoma game, 25-15, and we're going to start, and that's going to bring us to our Week 5 power rankings with a little switch up here in the top 5. because, I mean, look, you beat a team like Oklahoma, and there you have it. Oh, yeah, we made it a little fancier today. We got a little action, a little movement in the graphic this morning. Tennessee cracks the top 5, Nick. and here's the thing I want people to know about Mr. T. Okay, Mr. T is – see, I don't know many Tennessee fans. I don't want to know many Tennessee fans. I certainly don't know all Tennessee fans, but I am willing to submit right now that Mr. T has to be at least in the top 10 of the most reasonable Tennessee fans that there are. Because every time I come in on a Monday, it's happened for the last 2 years. Every time I come in on a Monday and Tennessee wins and they look good, Mr. T says the same kind of thing. I don't know if I'm ready. We did it last week.
Yeah.
Everybody's saying the Tennessee's top 5 team, national title contender, is going to give Georgia a run for their money in the East in the SEC championship. Defense is top 5, and they finally have a defense. Hypo. And Mr. T says what? Hold on, let's wait and see. He's not arguing the point, right? But we're waiting and seeing. And now I got Tennessee in the top 5, and are you finally willing to admit that your Tennessee Volunteers are in the top 5?
Yeah.
Top 5 football team in the country.
I'm fine with them being at 5 in the top 5 right now. Do I think they're ahead of Texas, Georgia, and Ohio State? Maybe Ohio State. The other two, no. Ole Miss is a toss-up. It's a Lane Kiffin team.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to drop a game somewhere, and Tennessee's liable to do the same thing. I mean, Colin Cowher said the other day Tennessee's going to win the national title. In the words of good old Nick Saban, greatest coach to ever do it, it's rat poison. I don't like it. It's on a bye week going up to an Arkansas team that is lethal.
Yeah.
This Arkansas team's 3-1, could be 4-1 rolling into that game in a week and a day. So it's a road game to Arkansas. We handled it well at OU. I mean, in Norman, but still, you can drop a game any given Saturday. Any team can win. I mean, look at Missouri taking Vanderbilt to the brink.
Yeah. Look
at Kentucky taking Georgia to the brink. Anybody can do it.
And just to prove my point a little bit further, I believe what was it 2 days ago, Mr. T? You told me that you're still worried about Florida.
Yeah, they're on the road. They got Lagway. They're coming to Neyland. It's one of those games. It's like even in the world's biggest cocktail party in a couple weeks, when they play here in Jacksonville, Florida is still going to give them everything they've got. Regardless of who the coach is, who they've got in the locker room, they know the weight. I'm not going to say they're going to beat them or be close. They're going to give them everything they got. That's how teams in the SEC play these games.
Yeah.
That's how Florida's going to play Tennessee in 3 weeks. That's how Florida's going to play Georgia. That's how Georgia's going to play Bama tomorrow. Yeah. I mean, I'm picking Bama or Georgia to win that game, probably by 2 scores, because I don't believe in Kalen DeBoer just yet. I'm curious.
Don't spoil the take. Don't spoil the take.
Oh, my bad. I got a little ahead of myself there.
But hey, yeah, I just want everybody, especially Florida fans, the fact that he's still not counting that as a win already. I mean, you got to give the guy props, because all we've heard. Tennessee is just one of those fan bases. Okay. But I wanted to give a little credit. Tennessee's in the top 5. Ole Miss at 4. Ohio State, please play somebody so we can get an actual read on if you're a good football team or not, and if your quarterback's legit. At 3, Texas at 2. A lot of people had them at 1. That's no problem. Until Georgia loses, there'll be 1, as long as this is a show that I'm involved with. Now, let's break down that Oklahoma game, Nick. Obviously, again, they benched their starter, Jackson Arnold. Their backup actually didn't play too bad. Hawkins
Jr.
Yeah, made it a game late. But the fact remains, Oklahoma had 3 points going into the fourth quarter. Give me your takeaways from your Volunteers defense.
Yeah, up front 4. That defensive line just controlled the game down the stretch. It got harder in the second half with the quarterback they put in. He's a little faster. He can run a little bit better than Arnold could. But I still think they did pretty well to contain. I think there's even a clip after the game, post-game, where Heupel and Nico were talking, and he's like, I kind of took my foot off the gas on offense because the defense was just controlling the game.
Yeah.
So that's something like, and maybe Heupel's grown a little bit in that sense. I know he's bolstered the defense. The line is showing up really well. Keenan Peely had a good game. The linebackers played very well, front seven, and that let the secondary work really well. Which is, I mean, it's the obvious thing in this. If the front seven is good, the back end of the defense is going to be better every game that is the case.
Right.
And and that's why we succeeded. And not only like that front four. Sure, James Pierce Jr. doesn't have the stat line that he gets for should have technically, I guess, for the number one player coming into the season. But he's still disrupting the game because he's a focus when teams are scheming every week. He is probably the number one guy they're looking to guard and scheme against. But then you've got Tyree West. You've got number 10. I can't remember his name, but he's like the big dude. He's like 6'3", 340, huge guy. But there's so many guys, and it's so rotational. You can go 2 and 3 deep at some spots.
Right.
They stay fresh and they stay out there, and they've been very good so far.
Yeah.
So I'm buying stock more and more in the defense because, like you said, I think Tennessee hadn't had a defense the last couple of years with Heupel, and that's been kind of the issue going back to even maybe UCF.
So let me ask you this: I mean, they allowed 57 rush yards from Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And with the quarterback in the second half, they ran the football a lot. That's taking out the quarterback sack, by the way, always, because college counts and NFL doesn't.
Yeah.
Is Tennessee's defense right now? Is Tennessee's defense enough to beat Georgia on November 16th and win the SEC championship?
I can't say that just yet because it's a different breed offensive line you're playing.
Reasonable.
It's a different, even if they have Tate Ratledge back, right guard, left guard, whatever it is.
Right guard, yep.
If they have him back, it's a different breed of offensive line.
Yeah.
And then you throw an Oscar Delp, whatever running back Georgia's got, it's going to be tricky. It's not something I can just say up in front right now. Yeah, they're going to beat them because they can win at that line of scrimmage. Where does Georgia win their games most of the time? Kirby's smart enough about it. The trenches.
Yep.
And the issue, we were hurt in the game, so we struggled at times on offense because we lost. Lance Heard prior to the game, so we were starting our right tackle, left tackle, and our second string right tackle. The guy playing right tackle got hurt, so the guy who was filling in on the left side went back to the right side position, and we were on the third string left tackle. Nico dropped 2 fumbles because they were getting pressure on him with the third string tackle, and the other guy and the offensive line just didn't play well at times in the game. Nico needs to learn a little bit more of stepping up in the pocket to not lose that and to tuck it. But if we're still having health lines, health issues on the offensive line, that game's going to get tricky because Georgia can win it on the defensive line just as easy as Tennessee possibly could.
Right.
So I can't say that just yet. It's a different breed. Kirby's going to coach them up. And I think this goes back to Kirby's time at Georgia in the late 90s. I think there are 2 games, no matter what on the schedule that he circles, that aren't Alabama. It's Georgia or it's Florida and Tennessee. Those are the 2 games I think he wants to win most every year.
Mm-hmm.
So when it comes down to it, he's going to hype the team up more those 2 weeks of the year than any other year. So and that's why I think in 22 going in, not only did getting the number 1 ranking that year and everything else compound that, I think that's why we looked the way we did in 22 that year. And it's going to be the same thing this year. We're back on the road. We're hot. Might be undefeated. You don't know. It's going to be tricky, but it's just a different breed offensive line we're going to run up against. I don't know if we're going to see it. We'll see it in Bama before we see it in Georgia, potentially.
Yeah.
Trying to think who else we might see. I mean, I don't think we'll see a line of that caliber outside of Bama before we see Georgia.
Well, I mean, so here's the thing. I mean, the reason to argue that Tennessee's defense is not there yet is because, as Ryan Williams put in the chat, OU's offense was painful. You have to attribute all of that. Can't be attributed to Tennessee's defense. There was literally no threat of an explosive from Oklahoma for 3/4 of that football game. Yeah. No threat. Just load the box, play the run. That's why you allowed 57 yards on the ground. Again, they had 3 points going into the fourth. And like you said, on the offensive side, Nico and Heupel really didn't have to do anything. He really did take his foot on the grass. I believe there was a 3rd and 10 late in the third that he ran the football on and just punted. Just because that's all he had to do. Yeah. But here's the thing about Oklahoma. I bet you their defense is a top 10 defense in the country. I bet you it is. I mean, I'm not saying that if Tennessee's isn't as well, but I bet you Oklahoma at the end of the year will have a top 10 defense in the nation. And Tennessee puts up 25 while taking the foot off the gas in the fourth quarter. I think you have to like that too if you're a Tennessee fan. Any last thoughts before we move on throughout the SEC?
Nah, man, that's pretty much it for me. I think OU was a good win. We proved a lot of things, and Nico handled the game pretty well, even with the 2 fumbles.
Yeah, 13-21 for Nico, 194, 1 touchdown, no picks, full control of the football game all the way through. All right, let's go to Gainesville. Check the pulse down in the swamp. They win. They win. That's the takeaway is they won.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, you want to complain that they gave up 28 points to Mississippi State? You be my guest. I'm sure Florida fans are still not happy with that. That you gave up 4 touchdowns to Mississippi State. At times, Mississippi State moved the football with relative ease. Right down the chute. I remember in the second quarter, Florida goes up by 3 scores. About 90 seconds left to go in the first half. Mississippi State chunk play, score right before the half, get it to a 2-score game again. And that stuff has to upset you. But at the end of the day, you won 45-28. And Nick, what would you say in college football is a good completion percentage for a quarterback? Just good.
Yeah, I'd say 60 to 65%.
Okay, I would agree. You know what, Florida, their 2 quarterbacks went in this football game?
Combined.
I
know at one point I think Lagway was 7-7. So.
He finished 7-7, 93%.
Yeah,
that's
Mississippi State.
I understand, and I think this might be one of those stats where it's more about Mississippi State being absolutely horrific on defense than it is about Florida's quarterbacks being unbelievable. Because I don't think anybody believes that both of them are unbelievable quite yet, and Mertz is he's good, and I'm not going to take that away from him. But Mertz goes 26-28. Lagway goes 7-7. They go 26 out of 28 for 93% completion percentage. Offense looked good. And again, Mississippi State, I can't stress this enough. Their defense is non-existent. They are not an SEC defense at all by any stretch. However, seeing how well and efficient Florida's offense was, as a Florida fan, I have to believe that I'm going to upset somebody in this year, for the rest of the schedule. I'm telling you that if I'm a Florida fan, that's what I believe watching that game. I'm still upset about the defense, and I don't have hope for the season as a whole. But after watching 45 points, 93%, both our quarterbacks look great. They finally got them in a rhythm because they didn't just trade off possessions. That was the other thing. They didn't just do that. They kind of found more of a role. And here's the other thing. With their bye this week, it gives them a lot of opportunity to figure that out more and more.
Yeah. How
to play Mertz and Lagway. Because I've already gone on too many tangents about how I don't believe the quarterback system really works. And again, it works against Mississippi State. Will it work against most SEC defenses? But then again, I just think that has to give you confidence that at some point in the year you're going to find an upset when your defense will have a good game. You'll put up 31 points and you'll win.
That's why like as Tennessee, I can't say that we're going to win this game.
Yeah.
Like they're gonna find, they'll play somebody hard and they'll find a way.
Yeah, we'll go rapid fire to the rest. Vandy, Mizzou. Mizzou escapes. Vandy had him on the brink. 27-30. Mizzou. Look, we do this with teams like Georgia. We do this teams with who else had a really close win so far this year? Who was a top 10 team? Can't come. I'm blanking right now. But when Georgia loses or wins 13-12, Kentucky, we have concerns, but we also give them a pass, right? It was their first game. They always have that one. Is this that thing for Missouri where, it was their first kind of test? They win by 3 points against Vandy, who actually has a legitimate quarterback this year. If you don't know anything about Vandy, no problem, right? But they're not the Vandy of old. They're not. I'm not saying they're good, but they have a quarterback. They actually have a quarterback. Mizzou gets taken to the brink. At right now, a lot of people had him in the college football playoff. I think they're right there on the bubble on the outside looking in right now, and they have a little bit more to prove. But we will see. They have, again, an easy schedule, as I've been telling you, and we'll see how things progress. I want to mention FSU. They won. Again, that's another takeaway for UF, FSU. They won the football game. They get their first win of the season, 14-9. 14-9 against Cal. Here's the biggest thing that that FSU fans should have some confidence in and should be their takeaway. They had 7 sacks. One of the bigger stories going into this game for FSU is their lack of pressure on the quarterback from their D-line. We heard all about the D-line. They got no pressure against Georgia Tech. They got no pressure against Boston College. And they go in against Cal at home. They take care of business. I know they only won by 5 points. Like, holy cow, guys. Come on. But at the same time, you had 7 sacks. Patrick Payton had 3 of them, I believe. And DJU did enough, I guess. He threw for 1 touchdown. I think he threw a pick. About 50% for the completions. Didn't throw for over 200 yards. Kind of this repeating stat line almost that we're seeing from him week after week. But at the end of the day, it has to be a relief. It has to be. I know, and it's an ACC opponent, so it has to be a relief that you got to win. And we'll see. I think it could be. I think Norvell could use it to propel them. We're going to talk about their matchup with SMU in a couple of minutes in the second half of today's show. But just wanted to mention that real quick before we go to break. Miami 50-15 over USF. Sorry, USF. We'll see our state of Florida power rankings in a minute, and there is a change because you just got trounced by Miami. Not that you should have won that football game, but look, it is what it is. UCLA, LSU beats UCLA 34-17. LSU's offense looks like it's improving week by week. And then the other one, Dylan Raiola almost comes back and beats Illinois, but he kind of cost them there at times too. And now Illinois plays at Penn State. So we'll be keeping our eye on that. When we come back, look, it's a loaded slate like I've been telling you. We're going to get right into it. I'm going to give you everything Georgia needs to do to win the football game at Bama, everything Bama needs to do to beat Georgia. Kentucky plays at Ole Miss. That'll be a good one. Texas has their first SEC football game. And, man, maybe perhaps the best game, the second best game of this weekend, Colorado at UCF. The game's been circled since the game was announced months and months and months and months ago. And Dion made some interesting comments for it. And what does UCF need to do, and what will a win do for them in the national spotlight as we move forward? That's coming up on the Stadium Pulse. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes.
In Northeast Florida, we love hanging out on the back patio, maybe grilling out lunch or dinner with the family, enjoying the good weather, or maybe enjoying the big game on the TV. Or maybe your favorite team in town, the Action Sports Jacks team. This is great, except for when it's really hot or the bugs start coming out. But what if you didn't have to worry about that? Titan Outdoor Solutions will make your outdoor area a comfortable spot, any time of the day, any time of the year. This makes too much sense. Titan Outdoor Solutions can give your home an upgrade. Customized pergolas, awnings, controlled shade, even retractable screens. The solution to beating the heat and the bugs and getting more use out of your home is Titan Outdoor Solutions. And this can even help prevent storm damage at your home. Living in Florida and living in your home is already good. Now make it great. Quality products, custom work, locally owned and operated. Visit TitanShuttersAndScreens.com or call 904-484-7580.
People helping people is at the core of what Alive Credit Union is all about, and it's been that way for over 70 years. From 1954 to 2024, the mission remains to inspire financial wellness and give you a financially fit lifestyle. Alive Credit Union and its employees are committed to not only serving their valued members, but also our community here in Northeast Florida. That commitment includes a partnership with the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 team as the presenting sponsor of all Armada men's and women's broadcasts this summer. Action Sports Shacks, and Alive Credit Union, a partnership that just makes sense when it comes to covering Northeast Florida. Alive Credit Union's commitment to our community also involves serving the financial needs of our first responders through the recent merger partnership with City and Police Federal Credit Union. Join the community and become a member of Alive Credit Union today. Find out the many ways you can be inspired in financial wellness at alivecu.coop.
I've been telling you about CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing for a long time now. Their drinking water systems remove up to 99% of contaminants.
We've had a Connecticut water softener and drinking water system in our home for more than 7 years. You can see the difference whether you're washing clothes, the dishes, or what I like to do most, fill this up for some coffee every morning, and mostly all day. Remember, if you're not filtering your water, you are the filter. Don't be the filter.
Right now, you can save $1,000 or more when you bundle the Connecticut Premier Softener with a Connecticut K5 drinking water system. The experts at CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing will test your water for free and determine your water score. Don't know your water score? CGC will find out and recommend the appropriate Connecticut water treatment solutions so you can improve it. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com. Financing options available with approved credit. CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing, an authorized independent Connecticut dealer. Florida license number CFC 1432579. Baker Sports is local sports. Uniforms from Pop Warner and Little League to travel ball, high school, and college. They make you look good. They help you play good. Baker Sports has been helping families make memories that will last a lifetime with their Baker's Buckets. We've got a lot of these filled with baseballs and softballs in the garage. I've been throwing batting practice to Ty and Kaylee for years and also sit on the Baker's Bucket, catching Kaylee while she practices her pitching. Baker Sports is homegrown, and a lot of employees that used to play on local ball fields now work for Baker Sports, now helping you look good, play good, and make memories of your own. Visit bakersport.com to see what Baker Sports can do for you. Custom apparel, Nike, Under Armour, Adidas, embroidery, screen printing, and more. Baker Sports is local sports from Jacksonville to anywhere in the Southeast. Bakersport.com. Everyone loves a good game night. Here you don't have to be the host. You don't have to clean up. They bring the food and drinks to you, and you can watch whatever you want on the big screens. It's more than a card room. It's a night full of fun with friends. Best Bet Jacksonville, Orange Park, and now the newest location here in St. Augustine, right off 95 at exit 311. A brand new clean room, a full bar and menu, my favorite sushi in town. And I love the fries too. You don't have to just play poker at Best Bet. That's why I come over here to the table games and play one card poker. That's a pretty good card and a win. One card poker is like war as a kid, you against the dealer. And this isn't the only fun table game to play. A friendly staff, a lot of fun. It's a good night out at Best Bet Jacksonville, Orange Park, and the newest location in St. Augustine. You can be a serious player or a novice. It doesn't matter. If winning equals fun, you're a winner every time at Best Bet. I'll save you a seat, and I'll see you down here at Best Bet St. Augustine.
Welcome back to Stadium Pulse. Let's get right into it. We're going down to Tuscaloosa. College game day will be their biggest matchup of the season so far. Dogs against the Crimson Tide. First thing that you got to know heading to this football game, DeBoer, first SEC game. Here you go, buddy. Here you go. Okay, first SEC game, and it's against Kirby Smart, who I guarantee you has been prepping for you and watching tape from what you did at Washington and going back to Fresno State. And shoot, I wouldn't even put it past him to go back to your NAIA days. He's been watching it, and his staff has been watching it since the day that you were hired to come to Tuscaloosa from Washington. It's happening, okay? It's happening. First SEC game for DeBoer, and let's break down Bama's offense. Nick, throw up this picture for me, please. Incredibly explosive offense, sometimes inconsistent. And this is what I want people to see right here. Okay, so this is a screenshot I took of their last game against Wisconsin. And what you have here is a formation that I promise you will see minimum 6 times tomorrow. 6 times minimum. If you don't see it 6 times, at me, please. Okay, what we have is trips to the field with the nub tight end attached to the line. Nub is tight end attached to the line with the back on that side. Trips to the field, right? Tight end attached to the line at the boundary. Okay, they've ran this at, I think, 7, 8, 9 times. In this Wisconsin game, they maybe have ran it 3, 4, 5 times in the first drive or two. Okay, because what you're going to get here is Milroe with a lot of keep options. And I might be getting into the weeds here, but Georgia fans, you have to know that you have to be able to stop this. Because why does Bama do this, and what are they trying to force you to do? At the top of the screen, right before the first down, that is a defensive back who has to come into the box because there's no receiver out there. He would normally be out wide, right? And now he's in tighter because there's tight end. All right, so Nick, how many guys do we have on the offensive line for Alabama with the tight end attached? Let's do some math.
Yeah, 6, so it's like a heavy formation.
All right, we got 6. All right, how many guys does Wisconsin have in the box? Don't count the DB who's at the 35-yard line.
Yes.
In the box.
We got 6 in the box.
All right, we got 6 on 6. Okay. And why is that important? Because if we run option here and Milroe keeps this football to the boundary, then we got 6 guys and they got 6 guys, and he's one-on-one with a defensive back who's coming from the 8 yards behind the line of scrimmage. Okay, they are going to do this. At least they're going to do this tomorrow. And by the way, obviously they can pull the right guard, Booker, who's a great football player. I believe he's their right guard, and pull him, and then you have a guard running to a DB. Good luck. Bring your hat. And they'll also obviously run just a regular inside zone off this, and they'll run bombs off this too. But I wanted to show you that picture because you're going to see it tomorrow. All right, what else are you going to see from Bama's offense? You're going to see a lot of empty. And, Nick, what are the 2 things that offenses that have the capabilities that Bama's offense has, what do they do out of empty? What's the benefit?
Split them wide and go deep, or quarterback run.
Boom. That's it. Every team does it. Every team, or Georgia doesn't do it, but every team like this does it, and every team that does, because I guarantee you'll never see. I mean, maybe once I've seen it so far this year, Georgia 5 wide, because they normally put a back out there and then bring him back to run a 4x1. But anyway, they're going to run empty tomorrow. Bama is, and they're going to throw it deep, try to take the top off, and Miller's going to keep the football. Got to be ready for it. And the guy that you really have to be ready for is number 17. That is number 2, Ryan Williams, and he is a 17-year-old.
Yeah, you got the age and the number.
Yeah, 17-year-old. Leading receiver for Bama has been unbelievable through 3 games for them. Have they played 3 or 4? I believe 3. Have they had a bye week yet?
Yeah, I think.
4 games for them.
4, okay.
Okay. Ryan Williams is a 17-year-old football player who's making, Wisconsin, but veteran defenders look silly. Veteran DBs. D1 DBs look absolutely silly. He is their go-to guy. One of the reasons that a lot of people are picking Georgia in this football game is because there's not another guy behind him. Kendrick Law has not stepped up like they thought he has so far. There's not a true number 2 guy like they've always had in years past. Bama's always had 3 NFL receivers, it seems like, for the last 5 years. That is not the case with this football team. It is not. Milroe's going to run a lot, but he's not as elusive as you might think. You can get him east to west. If he's going north-south, you're in big trouble. So got to be at his feet. Got to be at his feet. One other note on them offensively. The left tackle, Caden Proctor, I look for Georgia to go after him. Because I think they're phenomenal in the run game. Bama's offensive line, I'm not I'm not so certain that they can stop Georgia's D line in the pass pro. So I mean, it's a very different Bama offense, and a lot of people. I mean, to be truthful, they've played Wisconsin and USF. A lot of people weren't tuned into those football games. SEC fans. This will be the first time a lot of SEC fans see Kalen DeBoer's offense and see a Bama offense that's not run by Nick Saban. I know Saban's more of a defensive guy, but the point remains it's going to be a different look, a much different look. And the offensive coordinator has made things very easy on Milroe, I think, this year compared to last. And because that goes back to a lot, I've made this point about guys like even KJ Jefferson from UCF. Make it easy on them and tell them this. You have one read. If it's not there, tuck and run. Tuck and run. I would say that's a Taylon Green of Arkansas. I say that to a lot of guys. You have one read. If it's not there, tuck the football, use your legs, and be a football player and get us an explosive in the run game and pick up positive yards so we can stay ahead of the chains. Chat says, got to take Bama as a home dog, right? Look, I wouldn't fault you for doing it. But here's why I wouldn't do it. Because for this simple reason. Nick, you got Kirby Smart versus DeBoer, and Kirby's had 2 weeks to prepare. We just came off a bye. To be truthful.
His record off of.
Shoot, I don't know, but it's got to be good. I mean, his record in general is about 92%, I think, winning percentage. But you got Kirby Smart versus DeBoer, and Kirby's off a bye. For that reason alone, I'm taking Georgia. For that reason alone. But let me explain what Georgia has to do to win this football game. They have to match explosives. Honestly, Georgia's offense is deserving of scrutiny so far. They've got to match explosives because Bama's going to get them. It's whether they're touchdowns or 50-yard gains, whether you can squeeze them in the red area. That's what Georgia's defense has to do. On the other side of the football, Beck has to take risks. The problem with Beck, it's the blessing and the curse, is that he's so cerebral. He understands coverages so much that he's never going to put the ball in harm's way, and he'll turn down things that with a guy with his talent could complete, would complete. But because he sees if I check this football down, it's a 95% chance of a completion, and it's an easy 5-yard pitch and catch, and we stay ahead of the chains. But sometimes he's turning down, I feel like, the 25-year-old, the 25-yard 70-30 ball, 60-40 ball, because he understands exactly where everybody's at and the easy completions. I want to see him take some risks in this football game. I think he'll have to, and he'll have to complete them to win. I think he will because I believe in the talent that he has. And that is really, I think, the biggest thing for Georgia's offense. Again, you talked about it earlier. Tate Ratledge is out at right guard. That's their NFL right guard. We're plugging and playing a 5-star guy instead. Mason Morris, good football player. London Humphreys is out. That's a weapon that's kind of on the fringe that we won't have. But again, we've got to run the football. Trevor Etienne. Look, this is, you've shown flashes so far, but you haven't had a big run because Kentucky, there were none. Right, and he played phenomenally against Kentucky because he got hit at the line of scrimmage and took it for 3, 4, 5, 6 yards, probably 10 times in that game. We need where's the 50-yarder to seal this game? The 50-yard touchdown late in the fourth when you're up 3 points to win this football game. It's going to be a good one. Nick, you said earlier, you kind of gave us a little bit of a hint of who you're taking in this football game. You said Georgia by 2 scores. Mm-hmm. How confident are you? And what is the struggle from Bama on the offensive side, or are you not believing in their defense?
A bit of the offensive. I think the scheme is something Kirby's probably run against. I think he's going to see it here. He's probably going to test stuff he'll test against or want to run against Tennessee, the big high-powered offense that DeBoer's going to want to run. And here's another thing to back up. Yeah, 2-3 scores. Here's the thing. Georgia's 8-1 off a bye week with an average margin of win of 21.6.
Well, not every team's Bama, though, brother.
But 8-1, and you got a week to prepare. And this is the team, like, look, that's home. Georgia's home.
Yeah.
Bama may have, quote-unquote, made him to a point to get him to Georgia. He's made himself now. So now he's going to always exact revenge and exercise a demon on Alabama. So he's going to prepare very well for this game. And I don't think, like you said, Ryan Williams, there's only one other receiver on Bama right now that's got 100 yards. It's whoever the second guy is. Everybody else is like 80 and under. The offense just is not clicking in the passing game. He wants to go to that, but it's just not there. So Bama's still got kinks on offense to work out. I think Kirby's going to scheme well and shut this down. And as long as, like you said, if Beck can stay ahead of the chains and hit those explosives when they come to him, he's money. They'll roll at least 2 scores on Bama. It'll be a 2-score game if it's 10 points, 14 points, or more.
Yeah, I really, to be honest with you, this is how I see it going on. A lot of people just give you a score prediction. I try to, give you at least, and it's obviously a harder thing to do. That's why many people don't do it. But I try to tell, or at least predict, a guess of how the football game is going to go. I see this being very tight in the first half, 3-score game at half, because a couple of explosives are achieved both ways. George is able to get a couple, but settle for a couple field goals. I'm thinking 13-10 kind of action at half, and then it's going to be the difference in the football game is on third down. Can you get Milroe into 3rd and 8, and then can you get off the football field when he holds on, because he holds on to the football. Everybody knows that's the wrap on him. He holds on to the football too long. Can you keep him in the pocket? Can can the 3rd down and 8 scramble go for 5 yards and you get off the field versus 15 or 25 or 45 and extending the game? I think Georgia will be able to do that. I have a lot of confidence in their linebacking core, just as much as I've ever had, and that says a lot with some of the linebacking cores they've had in the past. So I do think that Georgia will get that late touchdown and force enough field goals, and I think it's going to be one of those what do I have it as? I think it's going to be a 10-point game. So I'm going to take Georgia 27 or 27 like a 16. Bama three field goals and a tud. I'll take them 27-16. The other big one, we got a couple ones that we'll get to, but man, I'm really excited about this football game. Bounce house, man, it's going to be insane. I got a couple buddies that are going. I'm not going, but a lot of buddies that are going. And, man, we're at the point where, man, we realize what a blessing those student tickets are, because a couple of buddies of mine dropped about $200 per ticket, which just that fact alone tells you how big a matchup this is for UCF, which that excites me, that we're spending that much to go and experience that in the bounce house. Dion has some comments that I want to get to. Bringing his Buffaloes to Orlando is a huge game on schedule, has been for a long time. And these are two teams that, they're a little flashy. They're always kind of in the headlines, at least for a little bit. Obviously, UCF not near as much as Colorado. But it's a big one, and a lot of recruits are going to be there. And here's Dion on the reason why he thinks a lot of recruits are going to be there.
I am curious, you're going back to Florida. Mm-hmm. Is there any opportunity to recruit while you're down there? Can you bring recruits to an away game?
Well, this is the way we do it.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say this, but this is the way we do it. Okay. I'm going to be honest with y'all, because I love you like that. But a lot of recruits that really want to see us, they will sign up to go to the game.
Okay.
On the behalf of the opposing team.
Okay.
So I may jog by and say, hey, how you doing? What's going on? But it'll be a tremendous amount of recruits. I guarantee you they'll have their biggest recruiting weekend this weekend.
Mm-hmm. Now I'm just interested to see how many recruits are going to be on the sideline.
No, it's going to be crazy.
I feel like I'm going to be watching.
No, I guarantee you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guarantee you. Yeah, every recruit in Florida is going to be on that sideline.
All right, bro. I guarantee you that's going to be the biggest recruiting weekend they've ever had. All right. How about the fact that Big Noon Kickoff's going to be there? Big Noon Kickoff's going to be there, their version of College Game Day. How about the fact that, look, there's so many factors that go into I'm sure this will probably be the biggest recruiting weekend that UCF has had in a long time. I'm sure that a small percentage of that is that Colorado's there. Here's what recruits care about, though. Let's not forget, winning football games. What was Colorado's record last year? And it took an absolute miracle for them to beat Baylor last week, and they shouldn't have. Look, I'm not saying that Dion doesn't draw and Colorado doesn't draw. Not saying it. But y'all know that those comments are tired. Y'all know it. Because UCF doesn't need any help. I got to be honest with you. At this point, UCF does not need any help getting recruits to come to their football games in late September, no matter who you're playing. No matter who you're playing. Let's break down this game. Because last thing on that, it takes away from UCF. And say what you will, maybe they deserve that, maybe they don't. Obviously, I believe that they don't because they draw enough. But let's break down this game. Offensively for UCF, look, keep doing what you're doing. You've run the football like it's your job, running it for freaking 350 yards a game. Colorado can't defend that. Plain and simple. Can't do it. Run the ball 50 times and you'll win. Run it 45 times. Keep KJ with 10 because Colorado has struggled to defend the quarterback run, especially so far this year. But it doesn't matter who you run it with. It doesn't matter. Oh, man. And this is my next point. Defensively, he's already calling. I literally have it in the notes. Ryan Williams says, deploy the Mel Kiper. The Mel Kiper's 2 deep safeties. That's the whole game plan for UCF defensively. Because here's the thing. What Colorado is best at offensively, UCF struggles the most. Because UCF has allowed 300 passing yards in every football game they played this year. And they're allowing 8-point-something yards per pass. Well, Colorado is going to do one thing. Drop back and tote the rock. And he's going to throw it to Travis Hunter 15 to 18 times in this football game. Deploy the Mel Kiper. Let's get 2 deep safeties. Get Mac McWilliams and get all those boys quadrupled 15 to 20 yards from the line of scrimmage. Shade towards Travis Hunter's side the entire game. Keep only 6 guys in the box and make them run it to beat you. Make them run it to beat you. And it's not going to happen. If you had to guess, Nick, what would you say the line on this football game is? UCF Colorado. Have you seen it already?
No, I hadn't seen it at all. I'm going to say Colorado's probably favored by a touchdown.
Baby. Colorado favored by a touchdown. UCF is 14.5-point favorites. 14.5. 2+ scores.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have thought that.
2+ scores
Obviously.
For the Knights. Look, I mean, the national media, Colorado. Sure, rightfully so. Vegas knows, man. Vegas knows. I'm not saying they're going to win by 14.5, but I mean, I'd be shocked if UCF doesn't win this football game. I'll say that right here. I wanted to get to some Heisman talk real quick about Travis Hunter because he is now on some books the odds-on favorite. I got to get through this real quick. Look, not going to happen. That plain and simple. I don't care if he's the best player in college football. It's been decades upon decades since a Heisman Trophy winner came from a team that with 3 or 4 losses. You got to win. You got to be relevant at the end of the year for your best player to have a shot at the Heisman, and they're not going to be. They're not going to be. They're going to have 4, 5, 6 losses, and I don't know how many. And UCF is going to be one of them. I'll tell you that. But Travis Hunter doesn't have enough. I got to get through a couple more games real quick. South Alabama at LSU. LSU 17.5-point favorites. Take them. I love their offense right now. Arkansas at A&M. That's going to be a good one considering A&M is at home, but just came off a barn burner against Bowling Green. Love Arkansas's quarterback. Give me them. VTech against Miami tonight. That's tonight. First opportunity to see Miami. Another opportunity to see Miami against a very subpar team, but maybe a better defense than they've played so far. I'm not going to claim to know a whole lot about VTech's defense, but that'll be interesting to see because we're trying to learn as much information about Miami. And then Florida State's got to go to SMU, a team that just beat TCU by, I think, 3 scores and ran all over them, threw all over them. Watch out, Florida State. You might be looking at 1-4. I actually have to take SMU in that football game. 9:54. We got to get out of here. Britton Austin Show starts in 5 minutes. Give me the Knights by 2 scores by 13 because they're going to get hooked. And give me the Dogs by 10. It's going to be a fun one. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you're are going to have a good weekend and enjoy this sun after what was an interesting time during Helene. Brendan Austin Show coming up in about 5 minutes. We got it all for you.